night of arson leaves a small rural town in shock. A bloody struggle ends with a woman dead and a man charged with murder. And Romania's people power puts pay to the Communist Party.
One Network News with Angela Dordney and Phil Gifford.
Good evening. Police reinforcements are tonight patrolling the small rural township of Waiuku, south of Auckland, following a night of arson attacks. The early morning fires have caused an estimated $500,000 worth of damage. As Greg Ward reports, the attack has stunned the local community.
This was the sight that greeted local businessman Kevin Maxwell when he arrived at the scene after 3 this morning. His tyre service centre an inferno, the biggest of several early morning arson attacks, and he could do nothing but watch it burn. Hours later, sifting through debris, Kevin Maxwell was angry but defiant, hoping insurance cover will get him back on his feet.
Well, we just got to wait till Monday, clean up, start again.
The blaze that destroyed Kevin Maxwell's business also spread to the town's post office with devastating results. Volunteer firemen could do little to contain the fire, which gutted the building. Next door, the local constable's property had a narrow escape.
Well, this fence that you see behind me here, that was burnt down a bit further down, and all the windows in the police station on that side are cracked. Luckily, it's a block wall police station. If it had been wood, I think we probably would have seen a police station go up in smoke too.
There were several other minor fires around the town, but the loss of the post office is particularly upsetting for the locals.
We're not used to having things burnt down all around our ears.
Oh, I think it's a small community. It's going to get a bit frightened.
He's going to get frightened because they could come and do it again.
There have been conflicting reports about people seen in the area at the time of the fires, but the identity of those involved and their motive remains a mystery. Though they won't comment on camera, some locals have pointed to recent racial tensions as a possible reason, but police say they have no evidence to back up this suggestion. As the community counts the cost, the hunt continues for the person responsible. Tonight there'll be extra police surveillance of the town. That could continue until the arsonist is caught. Greg Ward, One Network News.
Police have charged a man with murder after the death of his de facto wife in Christchurch this morning. The attack happened in front of the woman's 3 young children, who are now in the care of social welfare. Michael Brown reports.
The police were called to the Linwood flat just after 9 and swiftly cordoned off the area. Neighbours told them they'd heard a loud and violent domestic argument and then the sound of a breaking window. One neighbour, who would not appear on camera, says she then looked out from her kitchen and saw a man come out of the door nearest the broken window, pick up the woman and carry her back into the flat. Another account indicates that the woman was dragged back inside. Police confirm that the woman did go through the window, but can't yet say how or if a weapon was involved. The man arrested and the dead woman are both 22. There are signs of the struggle throughout the flat, so police believe that the children did witness what happened to their mother. Michael Brown, One Network News.
There's been another body blow to communism today. Romania has outlawed the Communist Party, the first East European country to do so. The ban was forced by people power, as a day of national mourning turned into the biggest anti-communist demonstration since Ceausescu was toppled.
They knew no fear, these young Romanians, full of their newly found freedom, moving on the foreign ministry tonight in their forklift, moving through several thousand demonstrators demanding that their new government pay attention to them. What they hate most is communism, and tonight the government decreed the Communist Party outlawed. It was as if a people's parliament of the streets had made a demand, and in an effort to control the boisterous crowd, a crowd which could have turned ugly, the government had acted upon it. There were soldiers, but not many of them, and they seemed to be supporting the crowd. The television is controlled by the government, they yelled. Put our views on television, and that's exactly what happened. Earlier on this first day of mourning for those killed in the Romanian Revolution, there were wreaths laid, there were tears shed, and there was anger.
We feel that this revolution is being taken away from the people who have effectively fought for it.
Taken away by communists, by those in the new government who say, yes, they were communist, but not now. Every day the new government announces new freedoms from behind closed doors. The frustrated public is demanding to be let in on the process. But until tonight, when the government appeared on television debating its opponents, these people felt they'd been kept out of the process. For 24 years, Nicolae Ceausescu was the government, and the people had no voice. Tonight, the voices are loud, the government is listening, and neither the government nor the people know where this jockeying for power will end.
There are reports from Albania tonight that a state of emergency has been declared. The official Yugoslav news agency says the crackdown is intended to forestall anti-government demonstrations. However, Albania, the last bastion of Stalinist communism in Europe, denies that a state of emergency exists, describing the reports as a tissue of lies. And President Gorbachev has been doing more hard talking in Lithuania, trying to persuade the republic not to break away from the Soviet Union. But the Lithuanians aren't impressed with his promise of limited freedom. As Robert Penfold reports, they've made it clear that they believe they're being deceived.
Mikhail Gorbachev's tour through the rebellious state of Lithuania has now been dubbed Mission Impossible. It's clear they like him, but not what he represents. Again today, he attempted to justify the Soviet Union's governing role. But when your opponent is a determined Lithuanian grandmother who well remembers the Soviet takeover 50 years ago, the master diplomat quickly realized this one he could not win. Generally, the Lithuanians are skeptical about his announcement of a law that may give their country independence. They say it's just a propaganda exercise.
There will be discussion all over the Soviet Union, then the commissions of Supreme Soviet, then Supreme Soviet, then People's Deputy.
So he's stalling for time?
I would say so.
His message was the same wherever he travelled. If people split apart and perestroika doesn't succeed, he said, terrible things await us. But the ordinary Lithuanians, with their newfound confidence, continued to loudly disagree. And they continued to argue, sensing that Gorbachev really had no choice but to back down, despite his argument that a complete split from the Russians would signal the breakup of the Soviet Union. Robert Penfold, One Network News.
It was a 3-day chase through more than 1 million miles of space, and it paid off. The space shuttle Columbia has rescued an orbiting satellite filled with valuable scientific data.
The rescue came just in time. If it had not been retrieved this month, it would have re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and burnt up. An amateur astronomer on Earth took these pictures shortly before the rendezvous. 2 points of light travelling at 17,000 miles an hour, the larger one, Columbia, moving in on its target. Astronaut Dunbar had practiced the manoeuvre hundreds of times, using the shuttle's remote arm to catch the LDEF and pull it into the payload bay.
Go ahead, Columbia.
We have LDEF.
Congratulations on a job well done.
The actual moment of contact wasn't shown. NASA blamed a technical hitch. Then the astronauts took hundreds of photographs of the experimental panels, a complete record in case they're affected by Earth's atmosphere. The experiments are designed to show how materials stand up to the rigors of space. After 5 years, some panels were showing wear and tear. The 11-ton prize catch was then maneuvered oh so gently into the shuttle cargo bay. The most ambitious operation in years had been a complete success.
New Zealand tourists in Fiji have been kicked off a holiday island by local landowners. Marion Hazen reports that the tourists were caught in the middle of a dispute between the local people and the hotel administration on Malolo Island in Nandi Bay.
New Zealand tourists settling in for a leisurely holiday at Club Naitasi on Malolo Island got a horrible shock this week. On Thursday morning, a large delegation of local landowners swarmed into the resort and ordered everyone to leave immediately. While no force was used to remove the tourists, the landowners' behaviour was definitely hostile.
Did you feel physically threatened?
No. I'm sure it was not a time to pick a fight. You just don't think about picking a fight or anything.
The landowners claim Club Naitasi owes them $168,000 in rent, plus a percentage of the resort's gross turnover for the past 10 years. The ruckus couldn't have happened at a worse time. Fiji's tourism industry is still recovering from the effects of 1987's coup, and it badly needs good publicity.
Would you go back?
Oh, yes. I'd check that the lessee had paid the rent.
Marion Hazen, One Network News.
The Cook Strait Ferry Aratika and Wellington's new police launch were involved in the dramatic rescue of 3 boaties last night. A small boat following the Aratika to Picton lost its motor and radio when it was swamped by a wave. The ferry spotted the boat's flare and readied a lifeboat for a rescue attempt. However, the police launch, the Lady Liz, arrived and managed to restart the launch's motor. Police took 2 women crew, one terribly seasick, back to Wellington. In Auckland, police are investigating how burglars managed to break into the police bar at the central station. Staff fear that a door off the street may have been left unlatched when the club closed last night. The burglars stole prized sporting trophies which have been recovered. 2 men were arrested. Coming up, Phil Gifford has today's sport.
With a Kiwi track and field hero who's flipping out over the games, and the countdown hots up as Commonwealth competitors pour in.